Trump's 1995 tax returns, 3 pages of them, and his legal use of the tax code to his advantage. Hillary Clinton taking Donald Trump to task, tweeting this: Donald Trump built numerous squandered businesses on the backs of taxpayers, and he hasn't even paid his fair share. How does she know that? But what about the dealings of the Clinton Foundation? Let's talk to somebody who's been investigating the Clintons for decades. We're talking about Judicial Watch. The current executive director of Judicial Watch, Tom Fenton, joins us live. Tom, what do you make of Donald Trump and then Hillary Clinton and the Clinton Foundation? A comparison.
Well, based on what I see, Mr. Trump didn't do anything illegal or unethical in not paying his taxes or citing a tax loss that could benefit him later. There may be a crime in the leak of his information to the New York Times if it came out of the IRS or one of the state tax agencies that in New York or Connecticut or New Jersey. So I think that ought to be the subject of an inquiry, frankly. But the foundation, on the other hand, is the subject of at least one criminal inquiry, if we believe reports tied to Terry McAuliffe, the Virginia governor, close friend of the Clintons, who may have misused the Clinton Foundation. Of course, then we have the pay-for-play scandals that we exposed at the foundation, where donors to the foundation were getting special treatment from the State Department contrary to Mrs. Clinton's ethics agreement. And supposedly the FBI wanted to investigate the Clinton Foundation and was turned aside. Their efforts were turned aside by partisans in the Justice Department. This $2 billion foundation continues to be an albatross, both legally and ethically, and it's not going to go away, at least the issue, no matter the outcome of the election.
Well, Tom, it's not going to go away, except in the mainstream media. Aside from your organization, Fox News, some online places, and talk radio, not many people are talking about the potential criminality of the Clinton Foundation.
Well, only because the White House and the Obama Justice Department and State Department have stalled the release of emails related to the foundation. There'll be a few more releases probably related to the foundation before Election Day, certainly even after Election Day. And there'll be new Clinton emails even this week, at the end of the week, that will be released. I don't know what they're going to cover, but those emails were deleted by Mrs. Clinton, arguably in violation of the law. Well,
let's see what's in those. Tom Fenton from Judicial Watch. Tom, thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.
You bet. What do you think about that? Email us, friends@foxnews.com. Meanwhile, Democrats say voter fraud is a hoax, so why are hundreds of illegal immigrants being registered across some swing states? Bombshell report coming up next. And even financial guru Dave Ramsey's daughter, Rachel, admits keeping up to the Joneses almost ruined her life. She's here with how you can live debt-free and still splurge on a bus. She's got her own bus.
Time now for your news for the numbers. Let's start with first 1,046. That's how many illegal aliens were found on voter rolls in the crucial battleground state of Virginia. It's a felony for illegals to vote in that state. However, people are not required to prove their citizenship when they register. Doesn't sound like a problem, does it? Next, 2.4 million. That's how many of your taxpayer dollars the military will spend on gender reassignment surgeries for soldiers. The money is available starting today and will also cover hormone treatments. Fantastic. And finally, 2. That's how many times this house will have been moved after it was left in the middle of the street. A moving company tried to squeeze it through an Austin, Texas suburb, but it was too wide, taking out trees and power lines in its path. I think it's time for those people to move. I hope they got out of the house first. Ainsley?
Okay, thank you, Brian. Trying to keep up with the Joneses has left thousands of Americans living in debt, but there is hope for a debt-free future. In her new book, it's called Love Your Life, Not Theirs, self-proclaimed spender Rachel Cruz, she shares tips to live the life that you want without the stress of debt. Now, joining us now is Ramsey Solutions financial expert and New York Times bestselling author Rachel Cruz, Dave Ramsey's daughter, which is so fascinating to me because you have said you found yourself trying to keep up with the Joneses, yet your dad is Dave Ramsey, so you're just like all of us.
I know, everyone thinks I'm like born in this like perfect bubble of like financial responsibility. No, I mean, I did learn early on how to handle money well, but I still find myself, scrolling through Facebook and Instagram and be like, I want that, I need that, like that's what I want. And so feeling that battle in me, I figured, okay, if I'm feeling this, I'm sure other people are as well.
Yeah, we all covet what other people want. You're not supposed to do that, but it's hard. It's hard.
Right.
So what will we learn in your book? I know you have a few tips you want to share with us this morning. Your first one is quit the comparison.
Yeah, so that's the foundation of this book. Obviously, the title's Love Your Life, Not Theirs. So to be able to say, you know what, that's great that that person's doing it, but I need to put my life back in the driver's seat, focus on what my family values, and we need to go for that. And so that's what's important, is just to focus again on your values and not what everyone else is doing, which is difficult, it's hard, but putting things like contentment and gratitude into your life is going to help with that foundation.
That's great. So many people watching have problems with that, and you really hit a young generation with that too, because millennials are affected by this.
Yes.
Make a plan for your money. What do you mean by that?
Oh, the dreaded B word, the budget. So I know.
But budget equals freedom,
it
right?
Does. That's it. Yes. You probably read my book.
I have.
Yeah. I talk about how a budget doesn't limit your freedom. A budget gives you freedom. It gives you permission to spend money because you say, I have it. It's here. I'm planning for it. And so that's what's key. And it's about living intentionally. You want to be proactive instead of reactive with your money. And the budget sets you up to do that.
Yeah. And you have to, you don't enjoy the parties as much and the shopping, but it pays off. It's such a great feeling.
It does.
The day you write that last check.
Yes. And it's all about the money you have. And that's what a budget is, living within your means. So if you have the money to still go to the great parties, get the coffee every day you want, that's great. You just want to be intentional and plan for it.
All right. Next tip, you said, talk about money, even when it's hard.
Yes. And
we're always told, don't talk about money.
I know. Yeah, and the habit is talk about money when it's hard, because it's going to be hard. So if you're married, talk to your spouse about money. You guys need to get on the same page. If you're single, find someone in your life you can talk to be like, hey, here's what I'm making. Here's, the debt I have. Help me with, with my money situation. Have that person in your life.
Be honest.
Yes. And parents, talk to your kids about money. And so this conversation is key, again, because it can be such a damaging topic for people, especially in a marriage. It can be very difficult. So have those conversations, get on the same page.
Well, you need to save your money. You got to buy gas for this big baby.
I know.
What is this about?
Yes, going on a tour for about a month. So all over America, making a stop pretty much every single day in a different city, and just getting to meet great people, and it's going to be fun.
Are you going to bookstores? Where can people find out where you're going to be if they want to come see you?
RachelCruz.com. My whole schedule is there. So yeah, all over from California to Texas, Oklahoma City. Yeah, we'll be there.
I hope you're going to be home to vote, though.
Yes,
you got to make sure you go home.
I already checked that. I really did. Yes.
Right, thank you so much. Congratulations on this new book. You got to buy it.
Thank you.
Well, when you browse the news today, you're going to see plenty of headlines on Donald Trump's taxes. Have you seen this, Rachel?
Yes.
All right, but Hillary Clinton's slam on Bernie Sanders supporters, what about that? You're not going to see any of those stories out there. Is the media applying a different standard to the Democrats? Tucker Carlson is going to join us live next. And are we going to see, well, here's this car. Look at this car here. A car takes a dangerous turn when it's speeding out of control. It loses control. I think it's at a car show. We're going to talk about that. But
we got Team Hillary Clinton taking on Team Donald Trump. And on the Trump side, we got Trump campaign manager Kellyanne Conway.
Thanks. Thank you for having us on Jeopardy.
What a pleasure it is to be here, Steve. This is fun.
Senator Clinton is the prune juice of this election. She might not seem that appetizing, but if you don't take her now, you're going to be clogged with crap for a very long time.
Name a reason people give for being late. Kellyanne.
Okay, well, Steve, I do not have an answer, even though I did buzz in. So I'll do what I usually do, which is talk and talk until people forget the question, and then I'm going to make an insane claim about Hillary.
May I ask my brothers for help?
They not here.
Yes, we are.
Ivanka, what you doing over here?
We're just getting acquainted.
That's Bill Clinton.
with Margot Robbie playing Ivanka, I mean, Ivanka is so beautiful, in my opinion. The person they get to play her is like the prettiest girl in Hollywood.
Absolutely, with the little fan in front of her.
Sure. Right. The hair blowing, the Beyonce hair blowing. Right. That was cute. It was funny.
And over the weekend, Alec Baldwin premiered as Donald Trump, and he did a pretty good impersonation.
Yes, there's been so many out there. He did very well.
It's pretty easy to do it.
Right, and I'm sure that before you know it, there'll be another debate for them to play off of. They actually delayed the premiere of SNL until the first debate was over. That's amazing.
They delayed it?
Yeah, for a week.
All right.
That's power. All right, 27 minutes before the top of the hour, and today Heather Childers has got the news. With
Hey. Nice to be here with you.
Nice Great to have you.
And we have an update for
You're wearing your
home. I am, yes, still supporting them. Well, investigators are still desperate for some answers in that deadly New Jersey train crash. One of two black boxes recovered from a mangled train car wasn't working the day of the accident. The train's engineer, Thomas Gallagher, says that he was well rested Thursday morning. He told investigators that he approached the packed station at 10 miles per hour. But what happened next is still a mystery. Gallagher says he has no memory of the crash. And right now it's still unsafe for crews to go into the rubble for the second data recorder. Cornfield chaos. Listen to this one. A 3-year-old boy found safe and sound after being lost in a cornfield for nearly 20 hours. The emotional moments caught on camera as a volunteer spots the toddler sitting alone in the massive corn stalks behind his northern Wisconsin home.
Once we got a little closer, you could tell it was arms and legs. So I was about 20 feet away from him, and then that's when I took off running. I knew for sure it was him then.
Poor little thing. The boy was taken to the hospital, but the good news is he's expected to be fine. And some dramatic moments as a hot air balloon crashes into some power lines before exploding into a ball of fire. Now, this is the aftermath of that crash. It happened in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A woman in the basket was shocked by the wires, but had to be rushed to the hospital. The balloon, part of the city's 45th annual balloon fiesta. This all comes just 2 months after 16 people lost their lives when a hot air balloon crashed into power lines in Texas and caught fire. And finally, some terrifying moments at a car show. A Mustang nearly running into a crowd of kids. Look how close after crashing into a curb. Yep, what it looks like within inches of several children at the Houston Coffee and Cars event. Amazingly, no one was injured. Social media, though, flooded with videos of the crash. Not clear if that driver was charged. And those are a look at your headlines. Back to you, Steve.
All right, Heather, thank you very much. The mainstream media hammering Donald Trump this weekend after the New York Times released a bombshell, they described it, on his 1995 tax returns. But even after audio was leaked of Hillary Clinton mocking Bernie Sanders supporters back in February in Virginia, the headlines are still caving for Clinton. So are these just more examples of the media's double standard? Yeah, probably. Tucker Carlson is the co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, and Steve Hilton is the former director of strategy for David Cameron. Guys, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, Steve. Great to be with you, Steve.
It's great to have you. Let's start with Trump and the taxes. Tucker, is there any there? I mean, he didn't break any laws. What's the story?
Well, I always tell my reporters, sum up the story in the lead. What is this story about? And now that the hysteria has cooled a little bit, what is this story about? That Trump didn't pay more than he owed? I mean, is that the crime here? And is that the new standard? How many of us pay the federal government in federal tax every year more than we're asked to pay? Right around zero, I would say. Right. So, I mean, what is the outrage about exactly? I don't know the answer.
Yeah, I don't either, except it makes him look bad. Steve, let's talk a little bit about the Hillary comments where she, in leaked audio, she's mocking Bernie Sanders supporters at this fundraising event where essentially she said, you know, I'm not really behind this whole free education thing, free college, the free health care and all that stuff. I'm more center. I'm all the way from center right to center left. And yet that's not a big story.
Well, I think it's just really obvious now that the media are openly campaigning for Clinton and against Trump. And you see it in the way that stories like this are handled, where anything bad for Trump is blown up and amplified, and anything that's difficult for Clinton, they try and justify and explain away. And you also see it in the way that, if you watch other TV channels, the way that there's this open contempt and derision on the part of the people there when they're talking to anyone from the Trump campaign. And the real thing that summed it up for me in their terms of their attitude in the media was this story this weekend in the New York Times. The headline was, "How could anyone vote for Trump?" Right. And I think that really captures their attitude. They just don't understand it.
Well, let's talk about some headlines from Politico. And Tucker, you're an expert at this. So Politico's original, there's the one you were just talking about. Politico's original headline, Clinton mocks Sanders supporters in leaked fundraising recording. And then apparently they thought about it for a little while, and then they changed it to Clinton gives her take on Sanders supporters in leaked fundraising recording. And then the editor's note said the headline and lead of this story have been changed to better reflect Clinton's tone. Could you decipher what we just saw?
Well, I don't think it's that they thought about it for a while. It's that they fielded a lot of angry calls and emails from the Hillary campaign, which bullied them into changing their original headline, which, by the way, met the basic standard, which is accuracy. She did mock Sanders supporters. I mean, she didn't commit genocide or anything. She mocked his supporters.
Sure.
Listen to the tape. And so what's so striking is editors hate to back down from their headlines. It's a matter of self-respect, a professional pride. You don't change what you conclude because some politician wants you to. They would never do this for Kellyanne Conway or anyone on the Trump campaign, but they've been successfully bullied by the Hillary people, and that is corruption. That's what you're looking at, corruption.
Steve, you're nodding your head yes.
I think it's just so transparent now. There was a time when I think it was subtle, the way they used to go about this. I think that's all gone. I think they're in a state of mind which says Trump is a danger to the country. They have no understanding of the lives of the people who are supporting him, the fact that their incomes haven't gone up for 16 years, that they've voted for politicians. Nothing has changed. Here's someone who finally is going to change things in their view. And they're so out of touch, these media elites, that they can't comprehend how anyone could support Trump, and that's now being openly reflected in the way that they're trying to cover the race.
All right.
That's exactly right.
Okay, well, I think we're all together on that. Steve Hilton joining us from the West Coast and Tucker Carlson on the East Coast. Guys, thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
All right.
Thank you.
There's a double standard. Go figure.
All right, now 20 minutes out before the top of the hour. Colin Kaepernick 2.0, another pro athlete's unpatriotic protest, snubs our military cadets. Pete Hegseth calls it pathetic. He joins us live just ahead, let alone what happened in London on Sunday.
All right, but first, everyone loves a pop quiz, right? Can you name Donald Trump's and Hillary Clinton's running mates? A new study says that almost half of you guys at home cannot do that. Coming up next, Steve is hitting the streets of Manhattan. He's going out there to put people on the spot. We love this. Some quick headlines. Trouble with schools edition. A New Jersey teenager ordered to undergo a psych evaluation for an anti-gun control project that got him an A last year. Officials at Manville High School, they called the police when someone found some old files that were saved to a computer in the library. The outraged student has since dropped out and is now considering a lawsuit. And parents are demanding answers after their kids were sent home with this white privilege survey. Seniors at a high school, at Oregon High School, asked to react to a series of racially charged statements. One example, because of my race or color, I can go shopping alone most of the time, pretty well assured that I will not be followed or harassed.
All right, ahead of the first and only vice presidential debate of the 2016 race, more than 40% of Americans cannot name the vice presidential nominee on either party. Ainsley.
That's right. 41% could not correctly name the GOP's vice presidential nominee, Mike Pence, and 46% were unsure of the name of the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Tim Kaine.
All right, so Steve is hitting the streets right now in New York City because we couldn't get him into another city so quickly to tell and find out what people actually know.
All right. I tell you what, I'm at 48th and 6th Avenue. Here's somebody just coming off the subway. Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good. Good morning, yeah.
Do you know who's running for president of the United States?
Hillary Clinton.
Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump.
Yes, right.
Okay. Do you have any idea who these two people are?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. What about this man? Any idea who that man is?
No.
Okay. He's the head of the World Bank. All right. Yeah. Nice to meet you. Okay. Good. Go ahead.
It really hurts my feelings now.
That's okay. Let's come on over here. What's your name?
Vicky Seaver.
And?
Dan.
All right, Dan. This man would like to be vice president. What's his name?
Kane.
Right. What's his first name?
The wrestler.
Very good. Where's he from?
Let's see. Is he from Ohio?
No. He's from Virginia.
Okay.
What about this guy?
Oh, that's Pence.
Mike Pence.
Mike Pence. And where's he from?
He's from somewhere really good.
One of the Dakotas? I don't know.
No, one of the Dakotas. He's from Indiana.
Indiana.
Okay. Who's your governor? It's this guy. And who's this man right there?
Oh, that's Brian.
I'm not running for anything.
Pretty lovely.
And what party would he be running platform-wise?
Oh,
I'm
my
running on the
goodness.
cake party.
The
He's a
head of the whole.
Republican, right?
Well,
I think
yeah.
Tupperware party. Closer.
We love our Tupperware.
I'm always fresh.
Who doesn't love Tupperware?
Just don't burp me.
Let's come on over here real quickly. There are people who are dialing something on their phone. What's your name?
Katrina.
Katrina. Oh, never mind about that guy. This guy would be like to be Vice President of the United States. What's his name?
Is that one Mike Pence?
No,
Oh.
it's Hillary's running mate. I can't think of his name right now.
Okay, well, you're part of the 40% of Americans who don't know Tim Kaine.
Yes.
What about that guy?
That's Mike Pence.
Yeah, okay, very good. And tell me one thing about Mike Pence.
From Indiana.
Okay, that's one thing.
From Indiana. I don't know.
Are you from Indiana?
No, we're from North Dakota.
Okay. Well, I heard a minute ago he was from one of the Dakotas. Are you going to be voting?
Yes.
Okay. Have you made up your mind yet?
Steve?
Probably Trump.
Probably
Okay.
Trump.
All right.
Steve, could you ask him if they've ever fracked?
You're from the Dakotas?
Yep.
Yes.
Are you involved in fracking?
No. Other side of the state, unfortunately.
Sorry, Brian, wrong side of the state.
Ask him, show him Brian's picture, Steve.
Okay. Yes. And then finally, this man right here. Are you familiar with him?
Very familiar.
Oh, really?
Yep.
How familiar are you? Are you familiar? Are you as
No,
familiar
not
she
as,
is?
not, apparently not.
Yeah, what's going on? Brian, what's going on between you and this woman right here and not this man?
I'm not saying a word.
She's
All
a
right,
fan.
I'm not saying a word.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
But she's
Vote
a
early,
lovely
vote
woman,
often.
and they seem like a lovely couple.
They do indeed. All right.
Thank you so much, Steve. That's cute. I know who that is. That's Brian.
Yes. All right, we're gonna have to picture
I'm glad
anything
you're
up
not
there.
running because we need you here on the Curve
Right,
Couch.
exactly, and I'm part of the 60% who doesn't know who I am. Really. Meanwhile, call it Kaepernick 2.0. Another pro athlete's unpatriotic protest snubs our military cadets. This time in basketball. Pete Hegseth calls it pathetic. He will join us live next.
What you gonna do when the well run dry? You gonna run away and hide? I'm gonna run right by your side. For you, pretty baby, I'll even die. I'm walking.
Professional athlete taking a stand against the brave men and women who serve our country and have served our country. This time, New York Knicks news center Joakim Noah opting to skip a dinner at West Point because of his anti-war stance. So how does this offensive act impact those who ultimately sacrifice, including our next leaders who go to West Point? Here to answer that question, Fox News contributor, Iraq and Afghanistan war veteran Pete Hegseth. Pete, your reaction to the anti-war basketball player?
Joakim Noah said he's sad. He's sad because kids have to go to war. He's sad because war exists. So he's not willing to sit down, go have dinner with a colonel, Iraq and Afghanistan war vet, and a bunch of cadets, and hear their side of the story. These guys are always all about dialogue and conversation. Well, then go have a dialogue. Go have a conversation. If he wants to be sad, he can go to his hotel room and be sad after this this tough meeting he's about to have. It's amazing to me how disconnected he and others like him are from the reality of the umbrella that these guys provide of security and safety to play a game.
We would not even have a country if we didn't have brave men and now women who are willing to fight a war. He says this: I have a lot of respect for the kids who are out there fighting, but it's hard for me to understand why we have to go to war, why kids have to kill kids around the world. So I have mixed feelings about being there. What bubble was he born in?
And who gave him a degree? He went to the University of Florida, right? Did he take a history course? Did he learn about the Revolutionary War, or maybe the Civil War that freed slaves, or maybe World War II, where we fought for our very existence? It's mind-blowing. I had a basketball coach, John Thompson Jr. at Princeton. He sat us down on the bench after 9/11, put flags on our jerseys, and said, you play a basketball game. You be grateful because there's some guy in Iraq and Afghanistan fighting for you right now. Appreciate that and understand that. And athletes like this who are making $18 million a year sit back and go, I don't understand it.
Real quick. Something else happened in London. Again, the NFL goes to London, plays a game every year. This year, the Colts play the Jaguars. Antonio Cromartie kneels and raises his fist during the USA national anthem in London. Now it's global news. He takes a knee. This is a guy with 8 kids by 7 different women. One of those women says they had to use Google to find out who their dad was, and he thinks America's not being fair to him.
No, America has clearly been incredibly unfair to him. This is exactly what we need. Terrible athletes conducting foreign policy for us. Hey, you want to do your thing here? I get it. We're having a conversation, even if I disagree with it. Don't go to London, raise your fist at our flag amongst on another country's soil. It's an example. Joakim Noah, Colin Kaepernick. Cromartie. These guys think they're making a statement and add into the conversation. They're a distraction from legitimate things we could be talking about if we were willing to sit down with cadets and talk to them, but instead we're sad in our hotel room.
Right. Good luck. Go Knicks and go Colts. Thank you.
Yeah, right.
All right. Thanks so much. Pete Hegseth, thank you. Meanwhile, straight ahead, Donald Trump says the claims about his taxes shows his savvy business skills. But what about Hillary Clinton? Who really broke the law there? Brett Baer joins us live from Washington. After all, he just completed his show on Sunday. And Washington Redskins star Josh Norman celebrating by shooting a bow and arrow after a big interception. But that didn't work out well. It was a penalty. Did he really cross the line?
Good Monday morning to you and your family. It's October 3rd, 2016. I'm Ainsley Earhart, and we start with this. It's a Fox News alert. Listen to this. Breaking overnight, Kim Kardashian, she was tied up. Millions of dollars worth of jewelry stolen, and her husband, Kanye West, had to stop his live show.
I'm sorry. Family emergency. I have to stop the show.
What? The dramatic details just coming in about what happened behind those doors right there.
And oh no, he didn't. Another October surprise for Hillary Clinton, courtesy of Julian Assange, perhaps. You know that cancel announcement? Apparently, back on, kinda.
All right, another Bush voting for Clinton, a new scandal surfacing on social media. It's not a scandal, maybe of your choice, but it's surfaced on social media that has been deleted since.
That's the scandal part.
I believe that's Barbara. Meanwhile, you're
Hanging
watching
out with Uma.
You're watching Fox News Channel, home of the 2016 election. I feel like he just left the air.
Who?
Brett Baer. I mean, because I'm watching. I heard he works Sundays. He gets time and a half. He's able to come in on Sundays. He puts together this great hour show, most of it based on a true story.
And look, there he is right there.
Hey, Brett, do you ever sleep?
No.
No.
I don't. Yeah.
Well, you
I really don't.
You'll get sleep in what, about 36 more days? Is that right?
Yes. The countdown is on.
Right.
The countdown is on.
You're heading to Virginia,
How are you?
right?
I am heading to Virginia today, Farmville, for the vice presidential debate. We'll do the show there tonight and then set up, obviously, for tomorrow, the big event, 9 o'clock Eastern tomorrow night.
We'll all be tubeside. Of course, the big story over the weekend was, it looked like it was all going to be about the leaked comments from Hillary Clinton, and we'll talk about those in a moment. But instead, because the New York Times put it on the front page of their big newspaper, as it turns out, back in 1995, Donald Trump lost $900 million when the airline and casino businesses were bad. And that loss has prompted them to speculate that maybe he didn't pay any taxes for nearly 20 years. This is the headline. Trump tax records obtained by the Times reveal he could have avoided paying taxes for nearly 2 decades. Brett, I have heard so many people analyze this whole thing. Nobody says he broke any laws.
No, that's right, and that's what the Trump allies and surrogates hit yesterday. Rudy Giuliani was on his game saying it was legal, and Chris Christie saying the same thing. Some went so far to say he lost $1 billion almost of his own money. At least he didn't lose $6 billion of your money in the State Department like Hillary Clinton did. I heard all kinds of different retorts. The bottom line, though, is that while legal, it does present an opening for the Democrats to run ads about emotionally talking about what's wrong with the country and then not paying your fair share. It's a common thing that the Democrats have talked about, and this is the front page of the Wall Street Journal. Tax concerns pose new challenges for Trump. It's not a story that is great for him, but it probably is a wash when it comes to his supporters. His challenge is to get the people who are independent and maybe on the fence, and probably doesn't help them.
Well, and of course, anytime you have to explain yourself, you're not attacking your opponent. What about the wisdom or lack thereof of on Saturday in Pennsylvania, him mocking that Hillary Clinton lost her balance and that Bill Clinton had affairs? What about that tactic? That doesn't seem to be warmly received by anybody, including his own camp.
I don't know what the thinking is. I sometimes think that some of those things are said to take the focus off of the story that has engulfed the media, and then the next buzzy thing in the backyard that the flies have to go to is the next comment. Sure. And I don't know that, but you're right. It does not play the best. I think that this next debate is really going to be the test, whether he is a changed presentation or whether he's kind of the same as he has been.
Well, maybe that goes on both sides. Maybe Hillary's going after his taxes because she wants the focus off of the email scandal. And then if you look at her tax returns, Brett, in 2015, she took a $700,000 loss. So she's doing the same thing that Donald Trump did. And then look at the Clinton Foundation. What's happening there? The question is that illegal? Pay for play.
Right. I think there are real questions about the Clinton Foundation, the interaction of when she was Secretary of State. I don't get the sense that the FBI is looking into those anymore. We thought there was a separate investigation. I don't think there is. But there's a lot of there. Her taxes, she also took a deduction for computer expertise that seemed to match the money that she paid Brian Pagliano, a guy who got immunity for his testifying in front of Congress. So this is the guy that wiped the emails clean. You know, those scandals are not going away, and with the prospect of Julian Assange maybe dropping another shoe, I don't think we're done with those stories either.
Sure, and over the weekend it was revealed, I believe it was, I forget who the first outlet was, but they got their hands on some Hillary Clinton audio at a fundraiser in February in the Commonwealth of Virginia, where, and perhaps they are leaking it right now, because today she was supposed to appear with Bernie Sanders. They have since canceled it. But as it turns out, and we're going to play a little snippet of it, Brett, it sounds like she's taking a real shot at Bernie's supporters who wind up living in their parents' basement, and if they're lucky, they wind up with a job at Starbucks. Listen.
There's just a deep desire to believe that, you know, we can have free college, free health care, that what we've done hasn't gone far enough and we just need to, you know, go as far as, you know, Scandinavia, whatever that means. They're children of the Great Recession, and they are living in their parents' basement. If you're feeling that you're consigned to, you know, being a barista or, you know, some other job that doesn't pay a lot and doesn't have much of a ladder of opportunity attached to it, then the idea that maybe, just maybe, you could be part of a political revolution is pretty appealing.
Well, politically, that does not look good for her as she asked the millennials, hey, vote for me on the second Tuesday in November.
Yeah, and no, it's not a good thing, and it doesn't help recruit young people. I think more pressing on that tape may have been that these Bernie Sanders supporters were buying into a false promise. Yes. And that was, you know, they were getting sold a bill of goods.
Because she's making that promise now, Brett. She's going to promise you free college.
Right. She's saying it. The campaign was pressed on that yesterday. I heard them say, well, not completely. It's not exactly the same that Bernie Sanders was just saying on the trail. But she stood next to him with a big thing on the background that said, you know, eliminating college debt. There are two different sides there. The policy is a little different. But the bottom line is that the message to the young people was, you're suckers. Right. You're buying into Barnum here, who's telling you he can give you the world.
So to summarize, 50% of the Trump supporters are deplorable, and the Bernie Sanders people are suckers. Who does she exactly want to vote for legitimately?
I think she's trying to fire up all kinds of different constituencies, mainly President Obama's coalition, and trying to get that out. Young people get that out. But right now, she's just trying to paint Donald Trump as bad as possible so that the alternative is just not him.
Well, 2 weeks ago, people said Hillary had the worst week of her campaign. Last week, people said Donald Trump didn't have a good week. What's going to happen this week? We're getting word that Julian Assange, the Wikileaks guy, that he has another October surprise, and it's going to go down tomorrow. He was originally going to come out with some information on Hillary Clinton out on a balcony, and he's canceled that because of some security concerns, death threats. Now he says he's coming out with a video announcement tomorrow.
Yeah, and we don't know. You know, we don't know how damning that can be. We've seen emails and their impacts before, and what it has done to this campaign. It likely could be a focus of stirring up all of that again, and that is not a good thing for the Clinton campaign if that happens. Again, you're right. When you're explaining or defending, it's not a good day.
And bottom of the fold has Hillary Clinton and what she did to Bill Clinton's accusers, who accused them of having an affair, many of which turned out he was having an affair, how she went aggressively after them. in the New York Times today. How big a story is this? I know it's early on a Monday. What kind of legs does this have?
Well, I think it gets legs some places. I don't think it'll get picked up a lot of places. I guarantee you it's not going to be a focus of the vice presidential debate. I doubt they're going to go down these roads. And by the way, vice president debate with Senator Kaine and Governor Pence, people are looking at it. I don't think it'll be a barn burner, but there will be some serious policy probably discussed along the way. Brian, I think there might be, some stories, especially if some of those women speak out themselves.
So I think Catherine Willey already has this morning.
So you're saying Bill Clinton's affairs have legs?
Ooh. I think you said that.
Yeah, thank you very much.
You said it first, right. You and Brian.
Yeah, let's just get those headlines out of the way. I'll take the blame. I usually do, Brett. Thank you.
It was Brian.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day. We are pointing fingers this morning, and it's on me. Thank you. Hi, Heather.
Hello. Yeah, point those fingers over there. We have some headlines that we are following for you. This we begin with breaking overnight. Did you hear about reality star Kim Kardashian? She was tied up and robbed at gunpoint in Paris. 5 masked men dressed as police officers breaking into her Paris bedroom and swiping, no, not her bra, $10 million worth of jewelry. $10 million. Well, husband Kanye West was performing in New York at the time, but rushed off stage when he heard what happened.
I'm sorry, it's a family emergency. I have to stop the show.
What? Well, this brand new video shows Kim leaving France. This was early this morning. Representatives say that she is physically unharmed. That's the good news, but she is shaken up, understandably. And overnight, more angry protests in the streets of Los Angeles over 2 deadly police shootings. The crowd in a standoff with riot police hours after LAPD officers shot and killed a black man matching the description of a gang suspect. And this comes a day after an armed 18-year-old was shot and killed by officers after he led them on a chase in what is believed to have been a stolen car. And an urgent manhunt ramping up in Idaho at this hour for a pair of dangerous escapees. Jeffrey Duvall and Juan Cervantes have been on the run since Saturday. Now, Duvall was behind bars for trying to strangle someone. Cervantes on drug and DUI charges. The inmates were living in this tent, and that's because the jail is so overcrowded. Still unclear how they got out. This, though, the 4th jailbreak at the same facility in less than a year. Maybe, possibly. Well, finally, Hillary Clinton picking up 2 famous endorsements this morning, and one of them is a Bush. Barbara Bush appearing in this selfie alongside Clinton and Uma Abedin, captioned with this, "I'm with her." The snap adding to speculation on the Bushes are backing. That tweet now deleted after her grandfather also said that he supports Clinton. And Cleveland Cavaliers LeBron James officially endorsing the Democratic nominee. James writing, quote, "Only one person running truly understands the struggles of an Akron child born into poverty. That candidate is Hillary Clinton." So a big endorsement there,
right?
In more ways than one.
I don't see how does she relate to that? Was she a black person born into poverty?
Very powerful, though, politically in the great state of Ohio for LeBron James to be behind Jeff.
But if anyone's surprised, I'm surprised.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Meanwhile, could there be a big hurricane surprise? A Fox News alert. Hurricane Matthew could deliver a devastating blow, and it could impact the East Coast all the way from the Northeast right down through Florida in particular. We're tracking its path. Janice Steen coming up next.
She was saying all the way up to Maine, possibly. All right, some people cuddle up with a book. Some people cuddle with their dogs. Other people snuggle with their 1,400-pound bear, right?
Mm-hmm.
The story behind that crazy photo right there, straight ahead. Wow. His fur is so pretty, but that is scary. I hope he's not in the news.
It's still a wild animal.
Exactly.
You can't domesticate
I would
those.
never do
But evidently likes to be petted.
Let's take a look at the cover of the New York Times. Interestingly enough, here's a story: Trump, the tax code and the loophole for the rich. Campaign struggles to move past tax revelation. And then this story down here. It's about Hillary Clinton and the many women who have accused Bill Clinton that that he had an adulterous affair with them. Turns out her husband accused of affairs. A defiant Clinton fought back. And what this does is it talks about, in the beginning, a lot of people
They were private investigators.
during the impeachment, a lot of people looked at Hillary Clinton as the victim. What this paints her as somebody who wasn't just a victim, but an active participant in sliming the women who came forward and said Bill Clinton did something inappropriate.
But read the highlight. Read the headline. You would think that she's something like she's a heroine, but she's not a heroine. She was hiring private investigators to take these women down. Here's one quote.
Behind the scenes, right?
Yeah. Here's one quote. Outwardly, she remained stoic and defiant, but privately, she embraced the Clintons' campaign's aggressive strategy of a counterattack. Women who have claimed to have had sexual encounters with Mr. Clinton would have become targets of digging and discrediting tactics that women's rights advocates frequently denounce.
Right,
How about they always denounce?
Some examples of what she was doing behind the scenes: hiring the private investigators to go after these women and find out what they were doing with her husband. She also was saying this in front of the camera about Jennifer Flowers. Remember this?
You get your picture on the front page of every newspaper, and you're some failed cabaret singer who doesn't even have much of a resume to fall back on.
Well, and Jennifer Flowers, of course, famous because she claimed that she had a 12-year affair with Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton said it never happened until he was under oath. And then he admitted, yeah, I had that affair.
Here's the thing, it's just a double standard. She's going after Donald Trump for talking about women, and she says that about Jennifer Flowers. However, I do think that she has every right to hire a private investigator. If you have the money to do that, if your husband is doing all of this, I mean, that's not illegal. If your husband is having affairs and you want to catch him.
Here's the thing. If you want to find out, because it's going to save your marriage for one thing, but if you want to hammer the women because politically it's damaging to the Clinton name, that is totally different.
Right.
I want to find out the truth. I sense that she knew the truth and wanted to defame the woman and the accuser. That's what Paula Jones, Catherine Willey, and Jennifer Flowers would say.
And that's just several. That's 3 out of, close to 2 dozen.
Right, which, according to Ed Klein's, our guest tomorrow, might be still happening in the Clinton library, if you'd believe that book.
He's got some...
Right, I read that article this weekend. Unbelievable.
Right. It is. All right, meanwhile, the video is terrifying. Children scream in horror when their school bus flips on the highway.
Anybody get out here?
Oh, my goodness. How that all ended and what caused the crash coming up.
And we go way, way back. This coworker, she was a coworker of mine in Texas. She joins us on the Curvy Couch to talk about her amazing, thriving career and her faith, her inspirational story. Megan Alexander from Inside Edition.
Question for you. How can you succeed in your career while also staying true to your beliefs? Megan Alexander, national correspondent for Inside Edition and the author of a brand new book, Faith in the Spotlight, is here to tell us how, and she's got a connection to Ainsley.
But good morning. Before we talk about the book, Meg, we got to tell our story. We're going to take a trip down memory lane because Megan and I used to work together for KENS 5, which is a CBS affiliate in San Antonio, Texas.
Yes, indeed.
And then we both got national jobs, so we were so excited. God is so good. We had a Bible study here in New York in my apartment for several years.
Well, and to be honest, when you got the job with Fox News, I thought, oh, I'll never see her again. You know, and then a year later, I got the offer with Inside Edition, reunited with you in New York City, and we rekindled the friendship. So you never know what's going to happen in life.
I know. I'm so proud of you. And now you've written a book talking about your faith and career. How do you balance it all? Because I know that can be tough, especially in the big city, and you're in the entertainment industry.
Well, there's no one size fits all for this. Every day is different. But the inspiration for this book, guys, came from an email I received from a pastor in Seattle. He said, Megan, I have a church full of young, ambitious women with big career goals and dreams, but they're worried they're going to need to compromise their faith to get ahead. I have few people to point them towards, but I know of you. Will you come speak to my church? And I said, I'd love to speak to your church, but I'll take it one step further. I'm going to write this book.
Oh, fantastic.
Max Lucado, was it Max Lucado's church?
No, a Bothell Methodist Church in Seattle. And so the book's very practical. I mean, I try to talk about real life situations, things that I've encountered. We tackle finding a mentor, climbing the ladder, negotiating a contract, dealing with body image, lots of real life scenarios.
You know, and you have a different career than most of the people who are going to read this, but in particular, climbing the ladder is challenging for a variety of reasons.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I talk about the entertainment industry and media, but I think this can apply to anything. Hustling, working hard, there's nothing like it.
Hard work.
I've taken more red-eye flights than I can count. We know that you have to do this, do that in this industry. So really it's persistence and tenacity, but getting there. I really want to encourage believers to take a seat at the table, to be excellent at your job, and be a voice in the room when decisions are made.
Yeah, hard work is definitely your mantra. You have done it the right way, hard work and done it the right way. My dad always says there are two things that you can control, your reputation and your character. Tell the folks at home the story about when you were supposed to wear a dress you thought was a little too revealing.
Sure. Well, I try to just give practical examples. For example, Inside Edition often covers the Academy Awards, the Golden Globes, all the big award shows, and then the next day we teach our viewers how you can dress like the stars at a fraction of the price. And so a certain reality star had walked the red carpet in a very revealing dress, and I was asked to model the dress the next day. I said, hey, good for her, but I don't want to wear that dress. Showing way too much skin. I don't think my father will love that. But instead of just saying no, guys, in the book, I try to encourage people to work the problem. Say no, but then offer a plan B. Here's another option. Here's another dress that Heidi Klum
I've got a better idea.
I got a better idea. Let's figure this out, because we're under deadline. We need to deliver for our bosses and for our shows. And I work with great editors, photographers, writers. We're all in this together. You can't just say no.
You can handle it just like you handled it. You can laugh about it. Oh my gosh, she looks so great. I don't feel comfortable wearing that. Can we have a plan B? And you ended up with a dress that another celebrity wore, so you still looked fabulous.
That's right. You can work the problem. You can figure it out. And listen, some things will be absolutes. You got to determine for yourself what will be black and white for you and what you can compromise on.
What do you think the number one challenge is for young women, regardless of the industry?
You know, I think it is figuring out who you are. It's difficult when you're young, Ainsley, when you and I are starting out, to know what you're going to be up against. But I try to encourage people, know who you are, write a mission statement, try to figure out, again, what those apps...
How do you do that?
Well, you pen to paper and you say, okay, what's important to me?
This is what I'm about.
Who am I living for? What's important to me in life? And again, try to determine what are those black and white issues for you, and then what you think you can
Some people, they use their mission statement as just a scripture. When I interviewed Mike Pence, his family has a mission statement. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to give you hope and a ffuture. That's his
Jeremiah
family's
29:11.
Yeah, that's his family's mission. So some people
great.
use that. It's great. Yeah.
You know,
awesome,
at the beginning, Ainsley mentioned that you two had worked together. I think we found a picture.
Oh, did you? Oh, there we are. This is our very first billboard in San Antonio.
That was our only billboard, right?
That was our only billboard.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Eyewitness news.
That was really cool because, so that was our team morning and noon show. We all did the morning show, and then you went on to do another show, an entertainment show, and then I stayed to do the noon show.
Steve, I got to ask you, do you sing on commercial breaks? Ainsley and I used to sing, oftentimes Christmas music.
We did. We worked with a great crew, and we had so much fun, didn't we?
Good crew.
Yeah.
We're up early in the morning. You got to have fun, right?
It makes you a little wacky, doesn't it?
Just a little bit. Check out Megan's brand new book. It is called Faith in the Spotlight. Megan Alexander.
And tonight I'll be doing a live signing, 8 p.m. Eastern. Go to livesigning.com/Megan.
Okay.
You can buy a book, ask me a question, and we'll talk online.
All right.
Good. Congratulations.
Today.
Really proud of you.
Thank you, guys.
Good for you. All right. Coming up from this Monday pop quiz. Can you name Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton's running mates? Turns out almost half of America have no idea who either of those two guys are. We're going to hit the streets to put people on the spot.
They're debating tomorrow night. Look who's here, Megan. You've probably...
All right, now turning to some extreme weather. Hurricane Matthew upgraded to a dangerous Category 4 storm. Overnight, this happening, threatening deadly floods and mudslides in the Caribbean.
Stunning new video shows a water spout forming down in Jamaica as Matthew blasts that island with torrential rains and 130-mile-per-hour winds.
Right now, American vacation goers are being urged to get out of the storm's path, and Matthew could soon set its sights on the U.S. coast.
Senior meteorologist Janice Dean wants to expand on this story. She has the latest.
Hi, we are definitely watching the storm, potentially dangerous, maybe even deadly storm as it moves across the Caribbean. We are concerned with Haiti, Jamaica, the Bahamas, eastern Cuba, and eventually the East Coast, but still a Category 4. At one point, it was a Category 5, the highest category you can have on the Saffir-Simpson scale, but 130-mile-per-hour winds, and we could see upwards of 20 to 30, maybe even 40 inches of rainfall across Haiti. The last time we saw a hurricane of this strength moving from the south up towards Haiti, the worst part of that storm was Hazel back in 1954. It killed anywhere from 500 to 1,000 people. So we are so concerned that this could perhaps, take a direct hit on Haiti. So prayers are needed. There's your track. 8 a.m. advisory. And as you can see, as we move through the Bahamas Thursday, Friday, this could potentially impact the East Coast. So we'll be watching it very carefully. Real quick, hi guys, you want to wave? Look at the crowd behind us. Thanks for coming to see Fox and Friends. Back inside.
All right. JD, thank you very much.
Thank you. I wonder I guess it will rain no matter what. We're going to see the rain, right? At the end of the week, probably.
And some rough surf.
All right, let's hand it over to Heather Childress, who has more headlines for us. Hey, Heather.
Good morning. And to everyone at home, we do begin with some brand new details for you just into the newsroom that an ISIS mastermind has been poisoned. Terror leader Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, believed to be seriously sick after assassins tampered with his food. He's currently being treated at an undisclosed location in Iraq. Al-Baghdadi is a known ISIS ringleader with a $10 million bounty on his head. The terror group now desperately trying to find those responsible. And some terrifying moments inside a school bus packed with kids. Some brand new videos showing the moment a driver veers off the road, flipping the bus into a ditch.
Anybody get out here?
Oh man, you can hear them, the children, the students sent flying as the driver swerves to avoid a truck. This was in Houston. 16 children rushed to the hospital, but with minor injuries. The driver has not been charged. And a big win for the United States. We reclaimed the Ryder Cup for the first time in 8 years. Yeah, boisterous crowd. Caddyshack star Bill Murray riling up the crowd from the grandstand to cheer them on. Ryan Moore clinching the win for Team USA, beating Europe 17-11. So, Brian, really loud crowd there.
Yeah, and by the way, the Europeans are not happy about it. A lot of guys were tossed out because of loud behavior.
Well, we were glad that America won.
Yes.
Amazing.
We are always glad when America wins. You know, speaking of winners, Steve Ducey's a winner, and he knows ahead of the first and only vice presidential debate. The problem with America is that 40% of the country does not know who the vice presidential nominees are.
That is a big problem. Guess what? They're debating tomorrow night. 41% could not correctly name the GOP's vice presidential nominee, Mike Pence. 46% were unsure of the name of the Democratic vice presidential nominee, Tim Kaine.
It doesn't mean it won't be a big, impactful debate. I think they both have a lot to do. But here's Steve on the streets. Literally on the streets of New York City.
Hey, Brian and Aisley, thank you very much. What's your name?
Neil.
Neil, who are you talking to?
Work right now.
Talking to work. Hey, Neil, I got a question for you.
Yes.
Who is that man right there?
I don't know. I apologize.
If you don't know who that man, Tim Kaine, is, do you know who that man is right there?
Yeah, that's oh God, I do know him. I just can't remember his name.
We put you on the spot, Neil.
Yeah, I'm terrible on the spot too.
No, it's okay. Who do you think it is?
I know his face. I've seen it 1,000 times.
Ask him if he knows the debate.
Both these guys have something in common. Do you know what it is?
Anchors, news anchors. No.
They are both running to be vice president of the United States.
That's pretty sad that I did not know that.
It's pretty darn sad.
That's pretty pathetic too.
What business are you in?
Banking.
Okay, good. You were checking your 401k or something there.
No, I actually was on a conference call right now. I apologize.
Oh, can they hear us?
No, it's on mute. That would have been worse too. Take care, guys.
Go to work. Okay.
Oh, he was a good sport about it.
He was a good sport. Here, let's ask this lady right here. Hi. Excuse me. Can I have just a second of your time?
Sure.
What's your name?
Eve.
Eve. My name's Steve.
Yes.
Eve, who's that man?
God, he's the vice presidential candidate.
That's right.
Yeah.
Any idea what his name is?
Peace, I don't know.
Peace, Pence.
Pence,
Same thing.
Pence, yes.
What about that guy?
Peace. Yes, Democratic nominee.
All right. Have you decided which team you're going to vote
for?
All right.
No, not at all.
Well, be sure you vote.
Is she going to watch? Ask her if she's going to watch, no?
You're going to watch? Hey, Eve, you're going to watch the debate tomorrow? Oh, yeah. Eve's watching.
There you go.
Okay.
Okay.
As for the guy in banking, no idea. No idea.
All right, Steve, good job. You got two New Yorkers to stop. I don't think that's been done.
I know, right? Thanks, Steve. I really thought when we put up those numbers, no, that's a joke. People know who they are, but they really don't, and that proves it.
Well, I mean, Sarah Palin was the high-profile one that everyone was talking about. So these guys are just two professional politicians who have to defend two very controversial lead candidates' record. I, for one, think it's going to be good.
I do too. We're going to be watching.
Yes.
All right, look at this video. A car show takes a dangerous turn when a speeding car loses control, heading right for the crowd.
And The presidential candidates pulling no punches after a weekend of bombshell reports on both sides. Will the home stretch get even nastier? We debate, you decide, when the Woodhouse brothers join us next.
Are they bringing the mom?
No, they're not.
Quick headlines for you. Dramatic moments as a hot air balloon crashes into power lines. Look at that, before exploding into a ball of fire. This is the aftermath of that crash. It happened in Albuquerque, New Mexico. A woman in the basket was shocked by the wires, and she had to be rushed to the hospital. And terrifying moments at a car show. Watch this. A Mustang nearly running into that crowd of kids after crashing into the curb. That could have been really dangerous. Could have ended a lot differently, but thankfully it didn't. The Mustang coming just within inches of several children at an event called the Houston Coffee and Cars event. Amazingly, Brian, no one was hurt.
Good news. 36 days into the election, and the presidential candidates headed back on the campaign trail today. That after a weekend of stories left both of the nominees doing some damage control. But is this just a sneak peek at what to be the final weeks before the election? A series of October surprises? Here to debate, the Woodhouse brothers. Brad, president of Correct the Record in Dallas, is playing the role of Dallas, executive director of the North Carolina Republican Party. First off, Dallas, you can't be happy the way your candidate handled last week, were you?
Well, I think Mr. Trump needs to get back on the message that he can build this economy and get people back to work. And I think, Brian, the important thing the candidates have to remember is what is the most valuable thing they have right now? What is the thing that they cannot get back? They can raise more money, right, but they cannot generate more time. And any time talking about yourself in this situation is wasted. You need the commentators, and you need to be talking about your opponent. Right. And that's true for both sides.
Brad, after this story in the New York Times comes out about Hillary going after all Bill's women, and the fact is the Sanders tape leaks out, does that mean Hillary will not be going to the back of the plane today?
I think she'll go to the back of the plane. Look, I think the New York Times story you referenced, there was really nothing. There was nothing new in there. We've heard these accusations before. We've heard some of this history before. And actually, Politico changed its headline about the tape, about the Sanders supporters, because it's been mischaracterized by everyone. I mean, she was reflecting empathy for those people and saying that, and just saying that
she was reflecting empathy by saying they were down in their parents' basement?
Yeah. Well, no. What she was saying was, Dallas, what she was saying was, if you're in those circumstances,
they couldn't get jobs under the
Dallas,
Obama economy?
What she was saying was,
under the Obama economy?
Hey, Dallas, what she was saying was, if you're in those circumstances, of course you're going to be attracted to someone who is promising a political revolution.
But Dallas, what she has done is adopt Bernie Sanders' principles. You can only conclude that it's insincerely adopting his principles, because he says it's not possible to give everyone everything free like college education.
Well, I don't know. She's kind of running on that. And, of course, but the Clintons have a really distant connection to the truth about any time. And I think that she seems so insincere. And voters have to listen to these scandals, and they have to relate to what they think the next 4 years is going to look like. It's going to be an ugly reality TV show if the White House staff has to guard against what the Clintons used to refer to as bimbo eruptions.
Are you kidding,
Dallas?
Are you going to suggest? Are you really going to suggest? You say reality TV show. Donald Trump was the star of a reality TV show. You really think that the Americans want that? That they want fat shaming? That they want calling a Miss Universe Miss Piggy? That they want that type of person in the White House?
25 years ago. Look, here's the thing:
if you want to foreshadow.
Look, if you want to vote against Mr. Trump because he said some crass things, that's up to you. But the Clintons have lived a very crass lifestyle for the last 30 years.
Do you think that Donald Trump 2 weeks ago was in better shape than he is now? And is he still going for the shiny object instead of staying on the goal, which was to win the White House? Do you think that there's been a problem the last week? And do you think there might be a problem in their camp with leadership?
I have full confidence in the leadership of that campaign. We work closely with them in North Carolina. The candidates both Mr. Pence and Trump are here often, but I will say this. He needs to aggressively get back on the message that Hillary Clinton has been around Washington for 30 years. She is the status quo.
Right.
She will not make things better. And any minute that he's not talking about that is a wasted minute. And again, I go back to this. The most precious resource the campaign has now is time.
Right.
Because it is running out.
It is 36 days to go, and right now Hillary's looking like she's slightly ahead in many of the key states, although she trails lately in North Carolina. Without
Florida,
we're
going to beat her here.
There is no,
you
win
won't.
for the candidate.
I'll bet you Thanksgiving dinner on it.
All right,
I'll bet
Thanksgiving
you
dinner
I don't
in
want
North
to eat
Carolina
with you this year.
Okay,
there you go.
I'm going to the beach.
All right, see you later, guys. I don't think it'll be a profitable Thanksgiving for you. If your mom brings you together, I'd like to know about it. Meanwhile, coming up straight ahead. One woman, three names. Olivia Newton-John. She will join us on the couch to talk about her latest project with a healing message. But first, let's go with somebody who's got to be jealous of our guest.
Woman. Yeah, I love that.
Bill Hammer.
Indeed, Brian, thank you. Enjoy that. We're awaiting Donald Trump on a Monday, holding an event any moment now in Virginia. All the talk this morning is about his taxes. So what will Trump say about that? We'll carry that for you. Meanwhile, Hillary Clinton talked about basement dwellers. So then, where does the map stand today? We'll show you on the numbers there. And what difference can the VP debate make tomorrow night? We'll see in 10 minutes on a Monday, brand new week now, 36 days.
Olivia, welcome back.
Thank you.
Where'd this come from?
This came from a place of loss in the beginning, and I approached my dear friends to record an album with me about grief. Beth has written an amazing song about grief, Sound and Water, that is very well known, and we realized that there wasn't music for people who are going through loss and grieving, whether it's a relationship or divorce or a pet or work or whatever it is, so we put together, wrote and produced an album.
What did all three of you go through? What type of loss?
I lost my husband in '94, and then I went through breast cancer in 2000, which Olivia was an incredible friend through that. Amy?
I lost my mother recently to cancer.
Right, and what does singing about it do and writing about it? What did it do to bring you through it?
I've always found music has been healing for me.
Creativity in any form is sort of the greatest tool we have as people to come through all the stuff of life. So there's this beautiful thing that happens when we got together every several months and wrote, we wrote most of the record together and sharing our stories, and we heal through that, and then the resulting thing is also something that helps people heal when they hear it.
What's beautiful about music is it unites all of us, and we've all gone through some sort of loss or grieving period in our life. And when you're going through a situation like that, you're looking for songs that you can play that help you heal. I mean, does that ever hit you that you're helping to heal so many people? Your music.
That was absolutely our intention. And what's great about a song is it's a safe space where you can get all your emotions out in 3 or 4 minutes, and then hopefully move on, live on, transform the pain.
You were all in the green room a moment ago, and you were doing a little selfie song, and it was so beautiful. It's from this album, right?
It's Live On, and Live On is actually, I'm very grateful that I have a hospital in Australia, the Newton-John Cancer Wellness Research Institute, and Live On is going to be used as a way of getting people to share their Live On journeys of compassion, of hope, of moving forward, and they can go to the website, onjcancercenter.org, and share their stories, and hopefully we'll all help each other that way.
Isn't it good, usually being solo artists, isn't it good to be together? You have somebody else to hang out with, right?
Yeah,
She's in my band.
And the way you harmonize together. Has it ever happened where three people with three great voices just don't sound good together? Were you worried about that?
I think the first time we wrote, the first day that we wrote, we were all tearing up because we were like, this is just such a great sound.
We're going to get through this.
I know,
we love how we
that's
sound.
how it was. We kept crying. It was so amazing.
Yeah, it's like when you cry, then you know you're onto something.
Yeah.
So these songs are pre-tested with pre-approved crying.
The good news for us is we're not in touch with our emotions, so we're incapable of crying. So,
well,
there you go. Wait, this isn't even out yet, right?
It's available for pre-order on iTunes and Amazon today. And you can join us on our socials, Live On Facebook page, and find out all the latest information when you can order. And
sorry to interrupt you. What song do you recommend if someone is going through a really hard time, they've lost someone? What song? Because some people don't download the whole album, they'll download one or two
It's really hard to pick one, but, I mean, it's
Live On and My Heart Goes Out to You.
That's I mean, you can just go through the whole.
All of them have a different.
Just buy the whole album.
It ends with "Don't worry, be happy." Am I correct?
That's it.
That's
well,
it.
the idea.
Yes.
Exactly. Survive and thrive and.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Olivia and Beth and Amy, stick around. We're going to continue a little more. 2 minutes right here on Fox and Friends.
Group hug right in the break.
Oh, yeah.